Manchester United are Summer Series champions. This was probably the most excited I've been about any preseason game thus far. There were some really good moments and there were some really poor moments. So of course, we're going to analyze both. But before we get into the video, as I continue to say, I really appreciate all the support I've been getting on the videos. You all have been incredible. I really appreciate it. If you are liking the content, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. The Premier League season is right around the corner. It is so close. We are so close to match day 1 against Arsenal on the 17th of August. The content is only going to continue. I can't wait, and I'm sure you all can't wait either. But enough of that. Let's dive in to what we saw in Manchester United's game against Everton. So it was really interesting to me when the team sheet came out that United weren't going with a recognized number 9. You had Matheus Cunha taking up that 9 position, with Mbeumo and Bruno playing as those two 10s. Again, you had Kobe and Ugarte in midfield. Ahmad as a wingback. I was really excited to see this because I wanted to see how he linked up with Mbeumo. You had Diogo as a left wingback, and then you had a back 3 of Luke Shaw on his strong foot, Lenny Euro, who is really making a claim for that right center half spot. I thought, again, he was brilliant. Matthijs de Ligt in center half, and you had Altay by in there. So the team sheet had me excited. I was really interested to see the way that the front 3 was going to operate. I expected a lot of rotations from the 3. I expected there to be moments where Bruno would take up that position. I expected there to be moments when Mbeumo would take up that position. There were a lot of times where Matheus Cunha was dropping deep into pockets, and Mbeumo would take up that 9 position. So let's go and take a look at the good and the bad from the complete 90 minutes against Everton. So first and foremost, I want to talk about Manchester United's off-the-ball shape. Again, we've analyzed it in games previously. I wanted to see if Ruben Amorim was going to make any tweaks off the ball. In the game against Bournemouth, oftentimes it was Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount as the 2 in a 4-4-2 shape. And as you can see in this clip here, again, very much a 4-4-2 shape. Mbeumo and Cunha ready to jump to the center halves. Ugarte man marking their deepest pivot player. Ahmad and Bruno once again ready to jump out to the fullbacks. Ahmad and Bruno in this formation were essentially playing as the right mid and the left mid out of possession. It was a hybrid of a 4-3-1-2 and a 4-4-2 out of possession. And I thought Manchester United were actually having a lot of success in denying any central progression that Everton were looking to create. The problem was, and Ruben Amorim alluded to this in his halftime interview, Everton is a very physical team. And I felt like when they were going long, which Manchester United were forcing them to do, Everton were winning a lot of those first and second balls, which was creating opportunities for them. And United were kind of struggling to cope with the physicality of Everton. Again, a little bit different here. You can see Pickford's on the ball, and Mbeumo and Cunha once again not super tight to each other, not as narrow as Højlund and Mount were in the game against Bournemouth. But you can see here playing as the 2 strikers. Ahmad ready to jump to Mykolenko. Bruno ready to jump to the right back. Ugarte and Kobe in close proximity to each other. And just on the top of the screen as well, you can see Diogo quite tight to his man as well. I think this is going to be quite consistent in what Manchester United look to do off the ball through the entirety of the Prem season. They look a lot better when it comes to pressing, when it comes to timing their press. There are still times where they are late to the press, but I think the overall physicality of the side has improved. And I think that Ruben Amorim is going to continue to opt with a man-to-man press, specifically in the 4-4-2. In this picture here, you can actually see the back line as well. So you have Euro playing as the right back, De Ligt and Luke Shaw as the 2 center halves, and Diogo just over there as that left back. And then you have the midfield 4 of Ahmad, Kobe, Ugarte, and Bruno, and then Cunha and Mbeumo playing as the 2 strikers. So yes, Ruben Amorim has definitely adapted his off-the-ball shape from last season. There were some really good build-ups and patterns from Manchester United against Everton. Again, as I continue to say, I have never seen a manager's build-up talked about more than Ruben Amorim. So let's take a look at what he was looking to accomplish against Everton in this match. So oftentimes what was happening was Ahmad was dropping very deep into the essentially right back space. And what was happening a lot of the times was Kobe, as you can see in the screen here, was looking to drag the midfielders into those deeper pockets. And the idea was Ahmad waiting for Mykolenko to step up to him, create that space in behind him, get the ball into Euro, and then hit the channels as quickly as possible. As you can see here, they've successfully done it. Kobe's dropped into that space, bringing a midfielder with him. Amad has completely engaged Mykolenko, and now there is all that space in behind for him to attack. And Lenny, as I continue to say, he has grown so much in his role, and he is so confident in hitting those balls into the channel. And again, with the rotations of the front three, Mbeumo drops into that space. I thought he was really good with those little intricate passes, those little one-touch passes in his first game, especially with the club. And as you can see on the bottom of your screen there, Amad is gotten a step on Mykolenko. I thought there were a few times in this match where Bruno was looking to deliver that final pass, and it wasn't necessarily coming off for him. In this instance, it does. Again, Amad has created that space. You have Cunha 1v1, which is a good position for him to be in. And Bruno delivers a brilliant pass into the space for Amad to receive, and it's a 2v1. Matheus Cunha makes that run into the open gap, runs it behind. Amad plays him a ball. Unfortunately, they don't score from it, but it's an opportunity created from build-up. It's essentially Ruben Amorim's blueprint when it comes to building up. Get the ball to the wide center half, be direct as quickly as possible, hit those channels, and try and score. Again, it's nothing new. You're on the ball here. You can see on the bottom of the screen, Amad is dropping into that right back spot again. Euro plays that ball, and what's so unique about having Amad as that right wing back spot is that he's left-footed. So it allows him to play that first-time pass into the channel because of the way his body's facing, being a left-footed player. Once again, you can see here, Kobe has dragged in the center midfielder, leaving that space in the gap. Amad plays a brilliant first-time pass into the channel. And this is where it comes to, you need your players to create solutions. I don't necessarily believe that Manchester United were having success with this in the previous campaign. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of the quality of player. Matheus Cunha does brilliantly here to turn out 1v1. Once again, Bruno Fernandes, free man. Again, you have Mbeumo in open space. You have Amad trying to attack that space and in behind. And this is just really good football from really good footballers. Mbeumo finds that open space. He sees Amad running into the gap. From that first time ball that Amad played, he's attacking the gap consistently. He's not stopping. He's running into that space. Mbeumo plays a really good ball into Amad. And now you have him in a 1v1 situation. And this is a perfect picture in what you want from your attackers. You want a 1v1 situation all day, especially with a player like Amad and his trickery. You back him, and what happens here? He doesn't score, but he wins a penalty in which Bruno converts. And it's that simple. Ruben Amorim isn't a manager who wants to play a million passes in his own third. He wants to be as direct and as vertical as possible, as quickly as possible, and I think it showed here. Now, it wasn't all perfect. I think there were a lot of moments, and credit to Everton, perhaps, in the way that they were defending, especially in the deeper or the mid blocks. But I felt like Manchester United were quite reluctant to take risks in this game in terms of their progressive passing. So what was happening a lot in the first half was Ugarte was dropping into the left center half space. And it was interesting to me because I thought that Ruben Amorim was going to opt to have Kobe a little bit deeper because, in my opinion, he's a better progressive passer. And I felt like he'd be able to break lines a lot quicker and easier than Ugarte did. And there were a few times where I noticed that Manchester United had opportunities to play in behind, and they chose not to. So in this clip here, what you can see is Matheus Cunha, again, him playing as a striker, he's going to drop into those spaces. He is a facilitator. He likes to get the ball to feet, and you can see here he's dropping into that open space. Well, Everton know that they can't just let Matheus Cunha drop deep and receiving it on the half turn and run. That's where he is at his most dangerous. So Diogo does a really good job of seeing that vacated space, and he runs in behind. But Ugarte isn't very comfortable in playing those passes. He's not a progressive passer. I don't feel like he trusts himself in playing those balls over the top. So he ends up playing the ball to Bruno, and they just keep and recycle possession. Again, good movement from your number 9. You have the space to attack in behind, and you don't use it. There was a lot of opinions about Matheus Cunha after this game. A lot of them not so nice. And that's fair. He didn't have the best game, but I thought there were moments where his teammates just didn't pick out a pass when the pass was there. As you can see here, and I've given Lenny Euro a ton of credit for his progressive passing, for his ability to break lines for fun. I think he has really improved his passing rate since he joined United. And you can see here again, Bruno Fernandes drops into that space, which leaves that space for Matheus Cunha to run into. It's the perfect opportunity for Lenny Euro to play a chip pass into that space, and then you essentially have Matheus Cunha 1v1 with an Everton center half, because you can see there that the other center half has stepped up to Bruno, and Mykolenko is obviously very wary of Ahmad on the bottom of the screen. What happens instead? Euro opts to play for Bruno. Now, Bruno does win a free kick here, but look at the space in behind for Matheus Cunha. There is a ton of space if Lenny Euro can just play that ball over the top, and it's another opportunity missed. And I felt like this was a consistent theme for Manchester United in this match, especially in the first half. I always say that top players will be able to find spaces, open spaces, that other players don't find. In this clip, it's very obvious once again. This was in the second half, so you have Aiden Heaven in possession. Look at Matheus Cunha here. Free man. If Aiden Heaven can ping that ball into Matheus Cunha, get him on that half turn, he's 1v1 with the center half. This is not a good situation for Everton. If you can get Matheus Cunha here on the half turn, run out of defense, it's trouble for Everton. Instead, what happens? Aiden Heaven decides to go sideways. Bruno looks to hit the channel with Doru, and it ends up going out for a goal kick. Now, this is what happens when you have a midfielder who is comfortable taking those risks. This is when Kobe dropped a little bit deeper. He picks up the ball, and it's probably a tighter window than any of the stills I showed previously. But Kobe backs himself. He wants to play progressive passes. He doesn't always want to play sideways. So he goes forward. Cunha once again in that open space. And look what one progressive pass or one risky pass can do for your side. They've completely broken that line. Matheus Cunha is in a bunch of space. And look at Ahmad. Completely free. Mykolenko was pretty tight with Garner and trying to defend Mbumo. And it ends up leading to a goal-scoring opportunity. That is the difference in creating opportunities and not creating opportunities. I think Manchester United need to be a little bit braver when it comes to trying to find those passes in the pockets, because I felt like there were a lot of times that the front three especially made themselves available. They weren't always finding those passes into their feet. Again, it's not always tactical. It's not always the way that Ruben Amorim is setting the side up. The players create the solutions. And in this match specifically, I felt like there were a lot of times where the solutions were there, but the players were hesitant to play that pass. And finally, I want to talk about the importance of Patrick Doru. Manchester United really struggled to build and progress with Diogo Dalot as the left wing back in this game. I don't think it's a good fit for him playing in that position, to be completely honest. You can tell he's not very comfortable. But when Patrick Doru came on, the dynamic completely changed. So this is what led to Mason Mount's goal. It was a Bruno Fernandes ball over the top. You see Doru in a 1v1 situation, and he ends up winning a throw-in. What comes from that throw-in is you see this triangle here of Doru, Bruno, and Mount. Mount occupying that space, Bruno finding him, and to be fair to Mason, it's just a trademark Mason Mount finish. I tweeted, I believe that Ruben Amorim loves Mason Mount so much, and it's his tactical versatility. He can be used in a lot of different positions. You know what you're going to get from him off the ball, but Manchester United need more from him on the ball in the final third. And I think for me, this is probably the most clear picture in terms of why Patrick Doru is so important for Manchester United. Dalot in the left wing spot isn't going to look to try and stretch much. He isn't really comfortable in that position. I mean, naturally, he is a right back. But you can see in this picture here, Mason Mount has the ball facing his own goal, and he's being pressed by the Everton center half. You can see the distance between Patrick Doru and the Everton player. But because Doru is so athletic and he has the ability to consistently stretch back lines and run in behind, this is what happens. One split ball, a great ball once again from Mason, and Doru's in behind. Now, this was the opportunity where Doru shot and Rasmus Højlund was quite upset with him. But again, just having the athleticism and his footballing ability to be able to run in behind, stretch a back line, and always cause problems for the opposition, it is so important. Patrick Doru, in my opinion, is going to be a huge reason if Manchester United are to have a successful campaign this Premier League season. So like I said, there were some reasons to be optimistic. I thought there were some good performances, but it's not all great. Again, 2 first-team signings. I think a lot of us got ahead of ourselves from the Bournemouth match. And I think it's just because we're all excited that Manchester United are back. But as always, let me know what you think. I want to hear what you think in the comments. Do you think the team as is good enough to challenge for a European spot next season? Or do you think Manchester United need to bring in more players? I really appreciate everyone who's been watching, liking, leaving comments, subscribing. It means a lot to me, helps the channel grow. I'll catch y'all soon. Until next time, peace.